we're about to go live. I'm waiting for it to set up. Like, these things are not easy sometimes, especially
Is
as we
that why he
haven't
was
done it
giving me the
for a
secret
longer
cut
time.
sign? You've given me the secret cut sign because you
No,
didn't
we're
want to say
in now.
celebrity on YouTube.
We're in. We're in. We're good. Listen,
Roll it.
Jamie, you're an idiot. And do you know why?
Why?
Because I had to get Mark on today to talk about this groundbreaking news that I've discovered. You're welcome, everyone. I
We've got.
discovered it. Mark already knew about it, or so he says, but he does know a lot of stuff about this topic. And this topic is electricians will have to retrain, maybe, but they will have to, maybe. But
You know how you
um,
discovered it? Don't you mean that a viewer sent you a message about it?
yeah, but
Oh,
so
just checking.
listen, I'm the one. Listen, I broke the story. Okay, this is my
All right,
story.
fair enough.
If I broke the story, right?
This is the Sparky story, I think we should call it. The
So
Sparky
essentially,
story.
the JIB, the NIC, and the NAPIT, and all those lot, they've got an issue with old school qualifications because Mark told me this earlier. EAS have set out a new standard, and now everyone has to get to that new standard. And we're going to talk about who's affected by this standard, why this standard's coming in, what it means, and the ins and outs of an at's arse around this standard. Because
Can
that's
I
what
ask
we
who?
do.
Can I clarify who EAS are, please?
I don't
For
know who
anybody
they
who...
are.
Oh, cool. Mark, off you go then. Welcome. Who's
So
EAS?
it's a coming together of industry bodies really to formulate what qualified electricians look like. So you got like TESP there, the IET, NIC, ECA, NAPIT, all of those bodies that we're all familiar with. Get together, have a little chat, and decide what qualifications we need to be electricians today. But that is having an impact on electricians of the past as well.
Yes, which is a sore point with me, which I'll get to.
So let's lay it out, right? So the other week I got a message from a viewer who said I can't get accepted as a QS or something with NIC because I've got the 2330, I've got the AM2, and I've got my 18th, but I need to have they're saying I need to, those qualifications are no longer accepted in order to hit that standard that they've set out now.
Was that, could you just clarify something? Because I've got another story. No, that person, was they already a QS to continue, or were they trying to become a
No,
QS?
so they're new, but I'm hearing that it doesn't matter if you're new or old.
Yes, so the
You
person I've
have
been
got to
speaking to,
update your qualifications
the person
to
I've
be
been
able to
speaking
get
to
it.
was a QS and now cannot continue to be a QS because they do not, no longer meet standards. So it's affecting newcomers and existing people.
Is that right, Marco? Because we brought you on today. Let's just carry like Marco. I want you to lay out why you know about this. What makes you an eligible person to talk about this Shizen?
There's been a lot of people who've come to me over the last 5 years of doing apprentice one-to-one in similar positions. The EAS document was updated in 2021. So it's not a new change, but there's been kind of this grace period, if you like, where people who had older style qualifications weren't forced to do their MVQs and AM2s. I suppose you should set out at the beginning what they're actually saying. You do need to have those three things. So if you've done like the 2330, you need to have your AM2 and your MVQ. Those things all together will get you into a CPS provider, will get you a GIB gold card. You know, in rough money, if you've got the qualifications that will get you a GIB gold card, you can now be a qualified supervisor. The issue has been like for the last 15 years that the CPS providers were helping people who didn't have that level of qualification enter their schemes as domestic installers and qualified supervisors in those areas. So you could just do like a 2330, you could do your 2391, and maybe do an AM2 or something if they were that fussy. You didn't even have to do that. And you could join a CPS provider and go off working as an electrician, self-employed. They're now not allowing that for new people. And anyone who's coming via that route, they've kind of got 2 or 3 years to update their quals. I do know the NIC are funding bits of that for their members. So you can buy like an annual membership for roughly about £1,000. And as part of that, they will let you do your experience worker assessment in that cost, as long as you complete it within 18 months. Otherwise, you've got to pay for it as well.
So that's very similar to what the JRB have been doing for a while now. They updated the criteria to become an electrician. Well, the criteria to become a gold card electrician has always been the same: an MVQ, an AM2, an electrical qualification. So
Which no one round the, which I would say no one round this table disagrees with that, do they? We all think that should be the standard.
So for the longest, like, I don't. People are going to be shouting at their screens now, whining about you. What is your problem with people who don't have all this? Listen, it's not a case of that, right? The point is, I don't care if you. Don't tell me a geezer who's been doing it for 20 years and he's the best spark in the world, even though he's never sat in a class. I don't care, right? I do not care about the odd exception out there. What I'm telling you is, for the longest time, it was a 2330 or equivalent, an MVQ level 3, an AM2, and you could go and get your gold card. That, for the longest time, was the gold standard, if you like, which meant
to simplify this for the
no, wait. Let me finish. That was your universal standard across the whole industry to be able to go onto any site in the UK, show that card, and you could be paid as an electrician. Now, after that, the JIB in the last couple of years have sat down and said, right, there used to be an experienced worker card, or what could be considered as an improver card, or something like that, where they had like this glut of people that sat between being an apprentice and being an electrician, and they used to have a card all to themselves, which meant they could go on site and they could prove themselves and get paid as an electrician, generally. Or you could just get into the industry as an improver and just rest on your laurels on an improver card. What you could also do is you could get an improver card, you could get your triple STS, get a black card, and still go on site as a gold card because no one really knew. Now, the JIB, in credit to them, they've cracked down on this now. You cannot get an experienced worker card for more than 18 months. And that's a parallel I draw with what the NIC are doing. They're saying you can come on with us, but you've only got 18 months. And that's what the JIB are doing. They're saying, all right, so you've got some of your qualifications. You can come on with us as an experienced worker, but you've got 18 months. And once you can only ever apply for that card once. So once that 18 months is over, it's on you, bro. Can't help you.
So just to clarify, the vast majority of people this will be affected by are people that have come in via non-apprenticeship routes, and they will be lacking in an AM2 and an NVQ.
Not necessarily.
But generally, that's the majority of people will be affected.
What some people did is they done the 2330. They may have done an AM2, and then they would have got their company or someone of a senior level to write a letter, send the letter into the JIB with them, and then they would have got a gold card as well without doing the MVQ. And there's quite a number of people in the social media space who have that.
There is, and they never properly qualified. I think if you read the EAS specification, it basically says that if you've done like your 2330 or your 2365, that they're classroom-based technical knowledge qualifications. They are still acceptable as part of your training, but you need to do an AM2 or your MVQ, or you can do the experienced worker assessment with the AM2 SRE or whatever they call it for that side. So there are different routes through it once you've got that qual, but you need to do that. And it's not just for JIB cards now. This is if you want to be qualified supervisors with the trade associations as they were. And that's the real grey area of this, because they've been quite happy to take people's money for 15 years, let them out working, doing all this stuff. Have they suddenly become less able electricians? You know, I get there has to be gatekeeping, but we can't just abandon those people, if you like, either.
I agree,
because what I want to say is, my stance is, I think I was apprentice trained, right? And I think that's the standard. There should be an M2, should be an MVQ. Everyone should be trained to that level, right? However, I have to acknowledge that these people that don't have that are operating as probably decent sparks, that is not their fault. The industry let them in, and now they're throwing them out, and that is not fair. So I'm both sides of the fence. I agree with this. Everyone should be the same level, but on the flip side of that, there are genuinely good sparks out there that are being affected by this. And it's going to cost them a load of money.
I'm in two minds about this. I'll tell you why. Because working on the agency circuit and working on the sub-in circuit, you've got people. I'm an electrician. I just ain't done my MVQ. and they would be so adamant that they was an electrician, even though they ain't done their MVQ, and they'd be like,
Yeah.
"I'm just as good as anyone." I'm da, da, da. But you ain't done what everyone else has done to get electrician. Yeah, but I shouldn't have to. Why shouldn't you have to? And I do think there's people out there like myself. I'm not an apprentice route. My apprenticeship went out the window a couple of months in. I had to do everything off my own back, right? I was lucky to be on the correct course, a proper apprenticeship course, but I didn't have a proper apprenticeship. So whilst I was doing that, I still had to pay for my course, pay for the AM2, pay for the whole lot. It was, and I still had to work towards it. I still had to get the relevant experience to be able to do that stuff. And then you got other people who just went and done the 233 and went, "Oh, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to see
No, they
how
just they
far I
was
can
just
go without
yeah.
doing it."
And why wouldn't they? Because the industry then just do this, and that was, and I don't want to make this clear. That was the industry. The NIC and the NAPITs wanted the money off everyone they could get the money off, and they're like, "Your kitchen fair, trying to fit your own sockets. We do a course." The NIC, I've got a screenshot of it, offered an accessory changing course, and it said on that thing, "This course is for people that want to go around changing accessories." That was robbing money out of qualified sparks pockets. How can you change a socket and not test it? So they was all there, and they want to deny him. Also, just to throw a cat amongst the pigeons, yeah. Obviously, the NIC are going to offer this training, and probably the NAPIT are as well. I hope all the lecturers meet the required standard to deliver that training, i.e., they have AM2s and they have MVQs as well. Because if I'm going to be demanded to have certain levels of training, I should be able to go to the person and go, "This guy's teaching me, this girl's teaching me, yeah. Can I see their qualifications, please, before they deliver training to me?"
It's a
Because
fair shout.
I know there's tutors and trainers that have come in via that route. I'm not knocking them, but what I'm saying is they don't meet the standard. But now they're tutoring and training, they should still have to be upheld to that standard because effectively they are not electricians, training electricians, and the requirement is for most of the course that tutors have is that you are qualified to the standard you are teaching. So I'd like to know whether they're going to maintain that level as well, just from my point of view.
I think they should do. I mean, if we look back to where this all started, and I think we've all said this at varying points over the last few years, that it does sort of emanate around when Part P became more commonplace in industry and the trade bodies wanted to get some sort of auditing of people who were doing electrical work anyway. They reckon they were already doing it, like your kitchen fitters, like your builders. They were at that time not supposedly testing anything, not certifying anything. No one had sight of it. To try and encourage them to register, so at least someone was monitoring them as these sort of domestic or limited scope electricians. But is what happened? What happened was the training sector, which was a big part of NAPIT, the NIC back then. They were training providers, ran away with that, delivering that training to just normal people coming into industry as a route to start trading as self-employed electricians. And we've ended up with this massive glut of people who've come in through those routes now. And again, they're sort of telling them we want more of your money to finish your training properly all these years later. And yeah, it's a tricky one when you look at it like that. Because what has changed from their point of view? I know it's different people. There's different people at the NIC and NAPIT now, and they're all working really hard to make things better. But there has to be some accountability of what happened 15 odd years ago as well.
Yeah. You know, with Part P as well, because some politicians' daughter died about it, we're going to improve things, yeah? Now, there was loads of scope to do loads of different things to improve the trade at that point, but Part P went through. And lobbying's a thing in the UK as well as America, yeah? The NIC, the NAPITs, the ECAs would have lobbied to get that in because they would have seen it as like not only improvement, but a cash cow to be milked, yeah? As soon as Part P come in, there's all these wild courses that all those providers are offering, yeah? But what I want to just ask is, at any point, has Part P itself improved the industry or has it declined the standard of spark? Because it was always meant to improve the industry. Look at all the facts. The deaths ain't gone down. If anything, it's got worse. It's got more Wild West. So it didn't work. It's a failed experiment and should be basically radically changed or done away with. I know Part P, the building regulation's not going to go anywhere, but the methods that were implemented were just a load of old shit, which many people, including you, Mark, I know you lobbied in Parliament for it, just a fucking waste of time. Because you know what they didn't do? They didn't listen to electricians. They just listened to a sales department. That was it. And that's why we're here now.
Yeah,
but that's by the by. It's not fair to the people that got sold the dreams who have now got to pay to jump back on the cloud, is it?
No, I think we've had them all come together in 2021 and say basically we got this wrong. we're changing tack now, we're going to put it right. But they haven't really come out in the social media space or in any of their own publications that I've noticed acknowledging that, other than through this sort of document. That is what that document is basically saying in my eyes. But I don't think that's
They're
enough.
not promoting that, like they're promoting their accessory changing courses, are they? With a full paid
No.
professional electrician.
See, I don't agree. If you took a course as an electrician and you didn't do your due diligence, or you didn't read it properly because you didn't know how to become an electrician properly, or what the criteria was to become a electrician universally, then that's you, bruv. Like,
hang on a minute,
because you got missold, fuck you.
No, whoa. You didn't go to fucking Aunt Sally's fucking training centre. If you went to the NIC or NAPIT and bought a training course off them and they told you to make you an electrician, that is due diligence. You went to the two biggest scheme providers and bought what they told you was acceptable.
Yeah, but
how much more due diligence
you need to
do you
say
want?
allegedly, because you don't know that's what happened.
Well, that is what happened.
Is that what happened, Mark?
There was a lot of marketing at the time. You'd see all your domestic electrician courses from loads of training providers out there. And if you think you're a person retraining, you know, not a lot about industry, and you're looking for a route in, if that's in front of your eyes everywhere, that's what you're going to do, isn't it?
You know, if I want a pickup truck and I go and buy it from Toyota, do I need to do any more due diligence than that? If I want a camera and I go and buy it from Canon, that's enough due diligence. These are respected organisations of traders in that area. Go into the IC to buy training that they tell you will be suitable and acceptable and set you off on your electrical career. Only 15 years later to tell you, sorry, lads, that was bollocks. That is not acceptable.
That is bad.
That is mis-selling. That is the new PPI. There should be adverts going, did you get mis-sold electrician training 15 years ago? And now the same people that sold it, organisations, not people who ate the playing out the game, and now telling you to retrain. You got a claim in there. Are they going to write to every single person who these people have signed test sheets for and say, sorry, the electrician needs to come back and retest it because he weren't competent? Oh, it's at our cost as well. Are they bollocks? They're going to bury it all. We go, and again, I'm all for up in this standard, but this is very, very mis-selling PPI style. Have you been mis-sold stuff by these organisations that are out there saying, we're the NIC, we're an APIT, we're the big boys. You buy it first, you get quality. And what have we got? Got shafted.
Let's drill down a bit more into who the EAS are and why it was founded and what is it all about, Mark?
Yeah, so it's been about for a while now. I think in 2012, they made the first big change in what qualifications need to look like to be a qualified supervisor for the likes of NIC and NAPIT. And that goes through like a UCAS assessment. So it's not something that they're making up on their own, but they're kind of doing it together, directed by other people and stakeholders of industry, just coming to a consensus of what qualifications equate to being able to register as an electrician. It's not actually defining what the qualification route to being an electrician is. That's all done through the kind of education space. So if you go on iFit and Ofqual and stuff, you can see what level of qualification comes to being an electrician. And that hasn't really changed that much since the days of YTS when I was a kid to what it is now. It's still very much the same sort of level. Is what happened along the way is that there was lots of this marketing from training providers, which diverted eyes away from that, I suppose. And it's been recentered back onto all of that now. And I think that's a really good move. And Sotter has put a question in to Adam about been a time safe back with AM2 and 2391. Will it affect them? No, in short, if you've got your AM2, your MVQ, your 2391, all the rest of it, you're golden. Those qualifications, and this is why we've said this a lot, I'm not promoting the GIB gold card, although I've got one and I'm proud of it, is what you do need to ensure, and I've always said this, is you've got the quals to get one. If you've got the quals to get one, you're an electrician in all eyes of every aspect, from government qualification standard, industry bodies, and anywhere else.
You know the DVLA who issue licenses? Someone who's 10 years older than me, who I was in the Army Reserves with, he's got a D on his license so he can drive a minibus, right? When I did mine, you couldn't just get that D. It wasn't on your license automatically. I had to go and train for it. However, he's still got that minibus on it now, because what the DVLA said is, if we can't make all these people not drive, we'll age them out. And this is a prime case where people should be aged out. If you're already in the bag and you got through and you're running a scheme, that should be recognised and you should be left to age out of the industry, but the scheme still checks your competency. Not just go, sorry lads, goalpost been moved, gets $2,000. You should just be left to age out. And also, these people demanding all these extra courses shouldn't be able to sell them because they are clearly profiting off changing the rules. The ESA is made up of these people that are profiting off this change.
EAS, you idiot.
All right, I don't fucking know. That's why I got Mark on. But they clearly, they should go, right, you were on the ES, none of you can deliver training. You can only make the rules up. You're just feathering your own nest. There's a lot of that going off our person thing. And it's not, I think that's what Sparkers will think. That's what they do think. And it loses all these organisations respect from the Sparkers that they pretend to promote.
There's not just organisations in it. There is like employers and other people feeding into it as well. And I should say, actually, early on in this podcast, probably should have got this in earlier, but there's breaking news today that there's £3,000 more funding for apprentice training for training providers. So that's just gone up today and comes into force in July.
So let's just break that down quickly. Does that mean that if you're an electrician and you've got an apprentice, you will get £3,000 more, or they've got £3,000 more to spend at a college?
Yeah, so the training provider gets that funding. So at the minute, they're saying training providers don't have enough money to pay their bills, pay their staff, get the right people in the classroom. As Jamie alluded to earlier, there's lots of people without the right quals. They're now getting £3,000 more per student, or from July. Wow. And I was part of the employers working group developing that apprenticeship. So I've known this has been going on for a while. And there's some really hardworking people who've pushed that forward. And it's the same sort of individuals who are involved with EAS as well. So they are doing lots of work on behalf of industry that they maybe don't get the credit for they deserve, alongside some of the criticism we're giving them as well. And it's it's fair criticism. I'm not saying it isn't, but they are really trying. And that £3,000 is a massive deal to lots of training providers out there. That's every learner in every classroom from July onwards, I think. It's just broke today. It's on the test website. It's fantastic news.
It's good news because they're going to be busy, aren't they, retraining all these people that need this training now, including
it's just for apprentices.
Some of their own. Yeah, but well, there you go then. So just for apprentices is great. I'm not knocking it, but what I'm saying is these people that I believe have been shafted, and possibly a number of trainers that now aren't competent to teach, who's going to retrain them? Because the government keeps saying we're going to build all these asses, we're going to get all these stuff going, yeah. And now we're in a big thing where probably, I don't know, 20% of the available Sparkies might not be qualified for the next 18 months. And maybe a large amount of tutors might not be qualified for the next 18 months until they banged out an MVQ and an AM2.
I think there's still this like working window where people can update their quals. It's if you're not in at the minute with a CPS provider, then you do need to do it immediately if you want to join them. If you are already with them, they're not making you do it right now. You just sort of need to be working towards it, is my understanding of the current situation. But when they actually throw that switch over to fully, if you ain't got it, you're out, I'm not sure. And that's the really difficult part. As I said, the NIC have got this in place. I was speaking to one of the people from that organisation the other day, and basically £1,000 for your year's membership covers your experience work assessment as well. Obviously, it has to be with them. If you fail it or don't complete it, you would have to pay for it. You have to actually pass it to get it at that price.
Where's that plastered all over then? Because I think we're the first podcast or electrical thing.
I don't think it's anywhere. I don't think that's out anywhere.
Exactly.
The NIC they haven't publicly marketed that, I don't think, as yet. They're not really pressing that they're doing it. But it is an important one to get out there, because I reckon there'll be a lot of people who want to take advantage of that. And you can bet your bottom dollar that Napier will copy doing the same, because that's just what's going to happen in it to retain the membership. Otherwise, lots of these people in that situation are going to jump ship straight over to the NIC.
Industry dirty secret, this is. Like, we've got it wrong 15 years ago. Now we'll be as quiet as we can. But we'll speak to all these people individually, not collectively. That's the problem I've got with it. I think it sucks balls for the people that are affected by it. I know someone in the comments last week goes, why don't you support electricians? Well, I think this is what we're doing in it here. We're saying these people should age out. That's how things like should be brought in. You can't just expect to go and retrain possibly, I would suggest, 20% of the working Sparky population.
I do think this had, if they are going to be quite stringent on these qualifications going forward, I think there's going to be a hell of a lot of electricians affected by it, because there's like no fault of their own. A lot of them like have been working absolutely fine as electricians, been working as a domestic installer for 20 years, absolutely fine. Now they're going to get pulled up on it, and they've got to lay out another 1,500, £2,000 to do a portfolio. Also, they probably ain't got time, the inclination to do a portfolio, and all the years they've been like everyone's been saying, all the years they've been working, does that not show competency? Have they got no level of? Have they not built up enough trust with the NIC they've been paying for 20 years? All of a sudden now they can't. Do you know what I mean?
15 years of competent inspections not get you a competent certificate.
Is that not enough? Is that not enough? Like what? Like at what point? And I think this is probably one of them things that's come along, and now it needs ironing out. rather than. I don't think this is it. This is set in stone and fuck everyone. I guarantee this will be something that's a lot more fluid. So what they'll do is they say, right, this is it, and then all of a sudden there'll be a big backlash. Everyone will be kicking up. They'll lose a load of members, and then all of a sudden they'll be like, actually.
Also, right, because the courses are so dated, yeah. So let's say I was my age now and I'd retrained for Part P, right? I could be a 43-year-old Sparky who's now moved on to doing industrial controls and teaching, and I could possibly have to go back to college and learn how to use a floorboard saw, which is still pictured in the City and Guilds documentation. So I could not even be working as an electrician, but I could acquire myself an electrical style trade. But effectively, to be current and competent, I might have to go back to college and wire a two-way lighting circuit with strappers. Like, what the fuck is
It's
going
mad
on?
when you think about it like that.
Also,
Innit?
if you're at a college and this affects you and you're a tutor, one, because I'm going from the two things with tutor and AI, your college could go, you're no longer competent. We're going to get rid of you because they don't want to pay to retrain you, which is their actual. They should pay to get you up to the standard. They might go, we're not paying for him to do an MVQ and AM2. We'll just let him go then because it's cheaper for us. That's a possibility.
And
And
have
firms
they?
could do that. Firms
Same
could
thing.
say to staff, go, we'll get rid of him. It's cheaper than. So if you work for someone where training's paid for, they might go, now just get rid of him. He's not qualified. We're not paying to train him. It's going to be a big problem.
Took the words out of my mouth there because it is just employed
Sorry.
electricians as
Sorry,
well.
guess.
If you're like a qualified supervisor in that role already, and all of a sudden you can't fulfill it, that's a difficult conversation, isn't it? I think there's so many layers to all of this. It's really difficult. If you imagine you've come in via this route, you've been working as an electrician for 20 years, and there's people on the social media scene who have done that. They've entered the industry that way. They've been out doing work now 20 years, and they do a good job just working in that domestic sector, happy with what they're doing. Are they going to be better electricians for going through an MVQ, an AM2? Probably not. But there's equally a lot of people who would really benefit from it. So that's where the gatekeeping is really difficult, isn't it? You've got to set a line somewhere. You're going to fall on the wrong side of it in a certain situation. It's going to catch you in the right one. So yeah, it's not easy, but it's all about all of industry's own making back in 2005.
You could have as well the most. Let's take a social media spark because that's the scene we operate in. Yeah, you could take the most bestest social media spark who absolutely bangs out rewires to an absolute perfection. Yeah, you send them on an AM2, they're going to have to wire a motor and a doll starter, something they're never ever going to need again. But they've got their little niche where they operate quite successfully doing good work, and someone's going to go, right then, I need to wire these central heat controls on AM2. They're going to go, I don't fucking know. I never do that. Obviously, I think that's great for apprentices to learn because it shows them a little avenue to explore the trade. But they're probably going, I don't do central heat controls. I don't do motors. But they go, well, it's on the M2, so tough shit. Get on with it. Like,
Yeah.
wild.
It's naughty. I think it's naughty, but I don't think like what we have to remember is right, and it's very difficult. Certainly coming from the background I come from, the union background, the hating the establishment, the ECA and all that are the devil and stuff. One of the things I've had to sort of reorientate my view of the industry is they're not necessarily out to fuck us at all points. And I don't think this is going to stay the same. I think it's going to be more fluid going along. They're probably going to turn around and go, listen, we're going to lose too much of the industry to this. Let's age them out and then let's have this as a new standard. I think that's what will happen eventually. I think what they're trying to do is get away with as much as they can at first and probably have to relax it going forward because there's no benefit to them to age out all of these sparks. There's no benefit to that. There's no benefit of like getting rid of a load of well-educated sparks or well experienced sparks, so as that you can bring in sparks that have just got no experience but got some qualifications.
If the DVLA
makes no
can do
sense.
it, if the DVLA can allow lorry drivers who've passed a test in a mini metro to drive lorries still, or big trucks still, because they say we're going to age people out with a DVLA, that's what we do. Why are these lot coming on going, no, everyone's going to retrain? Like, it just doesn't make this means
Aaron makes a good point here. Aaron makes a good point.
That's
He
what
says,
I took that. Yeah.
If you're doing an experienced worker course to get the MVQ, you're not doing it to learn anything. It's just box chicken.
Yeah, which makes cash for people. But it's
Hold
like,
on.
if we let this if this precedent gets set, if the precedent of this gets set that, oh, we're going to make you do this now to be qualified, I don't know, the NRC aren't going to come along and suddenly lob someone and go, oh, yeah, see him that does the electrical controls. We're going to be a course out for that. And if you ain't got it, you can't do it. That's where it could end. like going, oh, well, you know, you're fitting EV chargers. We brought out a new course for EV chargers, and unless you go and do it, you can't fit them. Solar, blah, blah, blah. Every new technology comes along. Oh, we're going to bring out a course for that. If you don't do it, you can't do it. That's the problem with this. This is the kind of, if we let them get away with it this time, they'll start pulling stunts like that because these people, these organisations, are businesses, run for profit regardless of what they say, because they've got to pay all these people to go there. They'll start going, no, you can't do that without our course. You can't do that without our course. I know it sounds like I've been all communist, but it could go that way.
It's sort of already happening, isn't it? If you want to do solar, you do need to do those courses. It's the same with
you
EV
have to go
chargers.
and do the wank battery course and the wank solar course that everyone comes off and says they're shit. They're absolute shit. Yeah, even though I'm going to learn to teach it for you now, Mark, but people come to these courses and go, they're crap. You don't learn anything. The tutors say they're crap. You don't learn anything. But they go, oh, you've got to do them. Because why? Because you've got to come and pay us money so you can do something that's 2 fucking wires. And the bit that's hard, fitting solar is fucking easy. It's just 2 wires and some mains work, yeah? The hard bit of solar, the roofing bit, on the courses, guess what? We don't teach that with fucking Sparkies. So we don't need that. That's the main bit that'll kill someone if it goes wrong and blows off a roof. But because the electrical organisation can't train that bit, they just take some money off you to learn how to fucking slap 2 wires around a roof. Cheers, lads.
Pretty much. And Gaz's GSH Gary Hayes has said he totally agrees with the impact on colleges. Could be massive from that point of view. Electric staff not able to meet the requirements laid out to be an electrician. So you're dead right, Jamie, if Gaz is seeing that, and obviously he's been a lecturer for bloody years.
Well, yeah. Let's face it, yeah. Part P sort of stunted the trade. A lot of people came into the domestic sector and stayed there. And I have noticed considerably that normally you'd flow up the level. Yeah, you'd start as an apprentice, become an electrician, become approved. Then you might go specialist. Then you might learn to teach. Yeah, there's no flow of people coming up to teach. That's a fact in all trades, and that's because of a stunt like this, where we've got a lot of people that are blagging it a little bit. They're great at what they do, but they don't do everything. Whereas I would argue that most traditional apprentice people that came through 5 years at a commercial, industrial, domestic firm probably were a lot more agile and could turn their hand to all sorts. But now we don't. We get a lot of house bashers, which is not a derogatory term. I'm not knocking it, but it's swamped the domestic trade. Part P caused that.
Do you want to hear the dumbest thing I've seen all week? Right. So obviously I'm sort of looking around for work and stuff like that. Got back into the old agency group, and MKA is a recruitment agent. Been about for years. They're always fucking shit though, right? Anyway, hours 8 till 4. Rates $230 for a gold card electrician. This is where it gets fucking stupid. 200 for a time served electrician, and then it's got in brackets non-gold card, minimum 10 years on site experience. That makes you a time served electrician according to them.
I've just realised as well. I get audited as part of my teaching to see if I'm competent, and they actually messed with me the week and said, "You got an AM2?" And I was like, and I thought, what fucking kind of stupid question is that? Of course I've got an AM2. Now I've realised they're obviously auditing tutors. I just literally clicked that about that.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So literally, I was like, who would ring me and ask me if I've got an AM2? Do they not know I'm a fucking big player? And now I've realised, possibly for the auditing, that's what they're doing. So maybe that's already in case they're checking out the quals of tutors and stuff. So that'd be interesting to see how it develops.
But yeah, so a time served electrician, according to an agency, MKA, is a minimum of 10 non-gold card holder with a minimum of 10 years on site experience.
Yeah, the thing with agencies, if you could train a squirrel to wire sockets, they would create a squirrel socket wiring job, wouldn't they, to get people on site?
Yes, they would. Yeah, they're fucking retarded. They just are. They're just fucking divs.
I was on the week. It's like, we've got sparkers. I'm not named the job. It's like, oh, we've got these sparkers here doing this containment. And the guy a few weeks later is like, oh, I was like, where's the containment? Because I don't know if sparkers come from that age could do containment. I was like, well, what do they do then? Well, how did they end up on a tier 1 job? Obviously, anyone's not been on anyone's domestic. Tier 1 jobs, big jobs, schools, colleges, they will contain a large amount of metal containment, yeah? They got like 10 sparkers and they had to get rid of them all because they couldn't do it.
Do you want to hear a tier 1 story from this week?
Tier 1's a tear crying. Yeah, go on.
So I went to a tier 1 job on Monday. I didn't know it was a tier 1 job. I kind of had a feeling it would be. Anyway, it's up in Belvedere, and I got up there, and the car park was 2 kilometers from the actual job. So I phoned up the guy. I was like, "Is there parking on site?" "Yeah, mate, parking on site, no problem." Anyway, so got there, and it's 2 kilometers, which isn't that far. But you know, if you're carrying 20 kilos tool bag, that gets heavy after 2 kilometers. Like, it's just a nightmare. Anyway, get there. Most of the day doing an induction, nonsense induction. Most of the time was spent waiting for my card to be printed out, my security card to be printed out so I could get on site. That was a good 2.5 hours waiting. Anyway, get on site. They issue me my PPE, which was literally long sleeve high vis top, high vis trousers that have to go over the top of your actual trousers.
What?
Yeah, and then they had these towers everywhere, but they're quite small towers. They're like, I don't know, they're just like small
Yeah,
towers.
pedestal towers, step towers.
And I'm trying to get up it, and it's like got an opening that big, and I'm trying to get in it. I'm a fat bastard anyway, and then my trousers inside my high vis trousers are falling down, so I can't lift my leg up properly. I'm trying to squeeze through this hole, and I just sort of looked around in this tower, and I was like, "Fuck this! I'm going home."
You know, if
So
I submit the risk,
So
you know, if
I
went to
went
that
home,
sort of-
but I was having a panic attack whilst coming up the fucking thing, and I'm all claustrophobic, and I'm thinking, "What am I doing?" It's sweating. I'm sweating out my face. I'm all stuck in these clothes. I was just like, "Why am I doing this to myself?"
You know, if I submit the risk assessment on that site and says, "Oh yeah, we're going to carry these 20 kilo bags of cement from there to there by hand," they go, "No, you've got to eliminate that." And I'd be like, "Well, why don't you eliminate with your fucking car parking then?" Blokes carrying 20 kilo bags for 2 miles, they'd be like, "Next question." Like, you know what I mean? If
Yeah.
it's off site, if you're injuring yourself to get to work, we couldn't give a fuck parking our car park 4
You're
miles
not allowed
away.
your mobile on site, and if you
Oh.
do have to take a call, you have to go to a special designated area and stand it there to take a phone call. I was like, it's 2025. I'm a grown man. I'll do what the fuck I want. And what the fuck I want is to go home.
You know, if they want to do that though, and they want to implement that, that's fine. But then you see their managers walking around going, "Yeah, mate, I'll be there later. I'm going to put like."
They've
"Oh,
got
mate,
iPads and everything. They're allowed to
You're
walk
not
around
in
with
the
their
place.
iPads and everything, but you're not allowed to take a phone call. Fuck off, mate.
Assholes, tier 1 assholes.
Yeah,
But
shit
anyway, yeah, look, shall we do some positive trade news, or is there not any? But yeah.
But Marco,
I was going to say,
let's just get back on topic quickly, Marco.
Yeah.
What I want you to give is your overall assessment of what's going on.
Yes, I think at the minute, they're just, as you said, Sam, they're not rushing to do this. I don't think they're going to be throwing everyone out of the CPSs for not having these quals if you're already in there. But if you are in that position, it's probably worthwhile looking towards going through your experience worker assessment and getting everything you need done. Because if that does become a thing, at least you've kind of got it in place. Take advantage maybe of some of these opportunities that they're offering to cover it off sort of in your annual membership fee. And just because you're doing sort of you're not necessarily going to have to do an AM2 and MVQ. If you've done other training, you've been in industry for a while, you can do a skills scan through the experience worker assessment, and they'll decide through that what bits you need to top up on. It might be that you have to do an MVQ and AM2. It might be that you just need to do a 2391 or whatever it is. Until you've actually gone through that process, you won't know. So I'd say it's well worth getting on top of. If you're out there outside of a CPS provider, and Adam from Sotter again said this, that a lot of people will probably just go off radar and not be part of a scheme and advertise and do electrical work with no real monitoring or oversight of trade associations. And that's the risk for a lot of these places, because with the social media things now, I don't think it'd take a lot for electricians to decide, what do we need these for, really? We can speak directly to customers, show them our quality. They're not really bothered about our badges and flags, and we don't need them anymore.
No,
you know,
I think sorry, Jamie. I think it's really powerful, actually. And we've said this in previous podcasts before. The electrical industry's 20 years in the past. They really haven't caught up. And whereas they might have been able to pull this sort of thing, I say pull it in a very loose way, where they might have been able to pull off bringing this in before and people not being able to communicate with each other to sort of fight back against it. You've got such a small loop now with the social medias on the social media influencers on Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that. This will get blown up so quickly they won't be able to sort of do it subversively. This will they will have to change tack if everyone starts kicking off about it, because they will. Whereas before they'd be able to sort of get people to do it, and then no one will complain about it because they had nowhere to complain other than to the NIC. Now people can go online and be like, listen, The NIC are making me do this. I'm leaving. And then, whereas before you might have one or two leave, now you'd have a big boycott of it.
Do you know I could make a lot. I could make a lot of money out of this if I wanted to, because I've got my training assessor qualification. I could literally make a fortune out of this, because all these people are going to need these NVQs and that late on, and I could literally mop it up. But I'm not going to. I'm not going to do. I'm going to not knocking out. Will be doing this or is doing it, but yeah, I'm not knowingly going to try and earn any money out of this because I think it's morally wrong. So if someone comes to me and goes, if I was doing some MVQ assessment, they had some late entrants, I'd probably say I'm not doing that one, because I could literally mop up out of this. So, but I'm not willing to, like, because I've got morals, unlike some of the organisations that are trying to do this. So I'll state now, if you end up on one of these late NVQs and it's with me, tell me, because I'll fuck you off, because I'm not willing to profit out of it.
Wait until they start offering the big bucks, mate, because they've had to lose all the lecturers. It's like, there's so many lecturers out there you alluded to, Jamie. I can think of a few, actually, who I know don't have these qualifications to meet that, who are putting themselves out there, doing experience worker assessments, running courses.
I can't promise.
They're not going to be able to.
I can't promise about making money out of it, because if a load of tutors go NVQ assess these people, it leaves courses spare for me to run, then I'll obviously mop them up. But I consider this as a good earner for me. You know what I mean? I'm not. I don't want anyone to come in and say, "Oh, he's making money out of it." I will be making money out of this.
Sam's already opened his training centre. He's been doing it while we've been talking. Electricians podcast training centre.
Before someone goes, "Oh, retrain's going to make money out of this," yes, you're fucking right. I am. So I'll just declare that before anyone tries to do that. Yeah, it could be good news for me. But when the sun's up, what is it? When you've got lemons, make lemonade. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see how they'd be able to pull this off long term on the industry. I don't think they're nefarious. I don't feel like it's this big nefarious thing where they're trying to just make money out of sparks any way they can.
Can I throw a positive point in? Sorry, go on.
Why don't you just interrupt me mid-flow like you do all the time?
Yeah, because I don't like you. To be honest, I haven't liked you for 3 years. Just as a
Your mum
positive point, she said that as well. Just to positive it up, yeah. This is good for the industry eventually.
Yes, it is.
What I want to see happen with this is, yeah, short courses need to be got rid of. Everyone needs to do a proper apprenticeship with a proper employer, with proper employment rights, with proper training, with a proper MVQ, with a proper AM2 at the end. Not loads of lads and ladies running around, screwing around, working in fucking restaurants at night to scrape enough money together to pay for their own MVQ. The fact that people pay for their own MVQ, pay for their own AM2s, pay for their own trade at private colleges is fucking disgusting on the industry. And the people like the ECA, NAPIT, the EAS, TESP and all that should hang their heads in shame that goes off. Fact. Yeah, well, so bring back proper apprenticeships, bring back proper employers, get people jobs, because we need all these sparkies, but no firms want to take them on, yeah? Because they're more than happy, and the big firms are to blame as well. They will happily take on someone that's funded their whole electrical education and get them on the cheap. Well, fuck off. Yeah, you want fucking hanging, you cocks.
That's another big part of it, isn't it? There's lots of people on full-time study routes or evening courses because they can't get positions as apprentices.
But
everyone's subcontracted or contracted in agency labour. Yeah. No one's employing apprentices.
No. Yeah,
so it's all well and good saying we want people to have these qualifications, but who's providing them? Where's the opportunity to go and do them? That's the solution to the problem. While that doesn't exist, all these other little side routes will continue and be the
big
dominating
firms
factor.
Know they are doing that. They know they are fucking going. If we wait long enough, these desperate people will pay for it themselves and we'll just mop them up.
They're not thinking that. No one's thinking that, you idiot.
They fucking are. The big
firms.
No,
they're not. They're sitting there thinking, we're not making as much money as we used to. How do we we got to cut training. Listen, other people will come along. Like the industry's fucked.
What I just said.
Yeah, but the industry's fucked. Not because of that. The industry's fucked. Not because people are being nefarious and not and trying to make the most money possible. The industry's fucked because the pricing's fucked. Because the cost of materials is fucked. Because the cost of doing stuff is fucked. It's fucked on a different level. It's not fucked in the case that they're going to try and squeeze every single penny out of the worker they can because that's how they're going to make more money. No. I guarantee if you went to any company, any proper electrical company that had any respect for themselves, they would say, I would rather make more money by putting people through an apprenticeship route holding on to good people and making money that way than I would by getting a load of dickheads who put themselves through college, who don't really know their arse and their elbow, don't really know our company values, and then we want them to work for us instead. No, no one's thinking that.
There are
What they're
companies doing
doing is
that.
they're
Are
trying to make
companies as
money
well.
by any way possible.
There are companies as well, just to be fair, there are companies, I was with one of them today, that bring in talent, train them for a long time, give them vans, clothes, training, and train their own people and hope that they stay and look after them so we stay. So there are those people exist, but the majority of the big firms in the construction trade don't want to pay for the training people, just want to mop them up. You can't keep picking people, you can't keep poaching, because if you're just poaching, you ain't got any gamekeepers, then eventually you run out of meat, won't you? You run out of birds. So you can't keep going, oh, rent someone with his work somewhere else. You can't.
I just think the construction, like what a lot of people don't realise is this country economy is backed up by the construction industry, and
Yeah, you
like
can't build anything.
our economy is so fucked, but like the growth of our economy relies almost exclusively on the
Dildos.
construction industry building shit.
Yeah,
And if we don't keep building shit, our economy will fall off a cliff. But building shit has become so competitive and so hard to do, like with money wise, that it's got so like the margins are like if you're a tier one company, the margins are like 2%, bruv. Like no one's making buku dough. Like it's 2% on like £100 billion.
That's why
It's
they
a
all go
lot,
bust.
huh?
That's
That's
why
why they're all
bust,
going
innit?
bust because they're making such shit margins. But the country is so tied to the growth of the construction industry. Why the fuck do you think during the disease from China, yeah, during that the construction industry kept going. All the other things were shut down, but like all the construction sites were open. All the government construction sites, all the big construction sites were kept going. Why is that? Because economy relies so much on it. And this is what I'm saying. Where it's being squeezed and squeezed and squeezed, the training is the first thing to go out the window.
Yeah. And that's from the thing. But obviously, you've only got to look at HS2 to see what a clusterfuck we are at building infrastructure and large projects. Look at every large project from Wembley onwards. Yeah. They've all gone over
the Millennium Dome.
Millennium Dome, like... Wembley, HS2, HS1. Channel Tunnel was actually... The Channel Tunnel is what a success story. If you actually look at that, I do believe that was brought in a bit early and on budget. It was actually a good show of private funding of electricity, but after that, we're just going to shit because a lot of government-backed contracts come with you can't lose money schemes because they've not got the firms to build. So I think, and I'm going back a bit now, I think the Channel Tunnel, they said, here's your money, build the fucking tunnel, don't ask us for any more. Yeah. But now we're like, when we get like the Inkley Point, they're going, oh, well, if you build it, we're guaranteed to give you so much money. So they're just doing a shit job, like doing dead slow because they go, oh, we'll just give you some more money because the government can't afford Inkley Point to fail. So now the builders like, fuck it, slow. The main contract, not the lads on site, so don't get upset. They're just going, fuck it, we'll get some more money out of the government. They'll keep paying. They need this thing. And that is how the construction industry is working. We'll just extract more money out of the government for shit. So it's been wasted. Whereas if they went, here's your money, what's the price? Something like we do, like as electricians do, yeah? What's the price for this? It's 15 billion. Here's your 15 billion. You better build me a fucking HS2 or something to bum you to death. That's not happening. They just go, gives more. And they give it them. And if someone kept coming in the house going, give me money and you get more, guess what they'll do? They'll keep coming back for more. And that's the construction industry in a nutshell, I think. Just my personal opinion, allegedly. Thank you.
Yeah, the margins on it all, you're right, Sam. They're too small and lots of companies just can't afford to train people as they once would. And until that's fixed, it ain't going to change. If you're a small company, like smallish company, less than 10, 20 people or whatever, you've still got scope to do that. But any of the big tier ones, main contractors, they're all on the same margins and it's set up to fail. And all the shit rolls downhill, doesn't it? Because we're all told after this Hackett report and all the rest of it, do some more CPD, do some more training. They're always looking at us at the end of the chain to do more without solving the problem right at the start of it, which is allowing enough money for us to do our jobs properly.
Do you know the funniest thing about CPD is, right?
It's bollocks.
It's always the people, like the people who need to do CPD are not the ones going to be doing it because they need to do it and they need to continue to learn new stuff and enhance their skills. But they're the ones who need to do it are the shit ones who are fucking shit up and setting buildings on fire. They're not doing CPD.
I submitted mine today. Guess what I submitted?
This
As
show.
I said I would. I sent a link to this show, my own YouTube channel, and I went, if you don't think that's enough, let me know why. And that's literally what I sent them. I went, here's the 2 links. Bosh.
How badly do you want to say that's not acceptable?
Oh well,
how badly
they can
do you
say
want
that, but they can absolutely say that. But I'll just go, why is it not acceptable? Do you not think
you
of
want
research?
That argument, though, don't you?
Yeah, I want the argument. Yeah, I want to go. I go, tell me why.
You ain't sending it because you ain't sending it for any other reason than you want them to kick off.
Whoever kicks off me, I'll just say, can I see your CPD, please? Because that should be a thing.
Do you remember when
E5 where's your CPD, dickhead?
Do you remember when E5 said that you could just read the instructions of a fucking light bulb and that could count?
That's true. That is fact, though. You can log that.
Do you know what I mean? That's how fucking dumb it is. That's how dumb it got.
It's true, though. But the fact is, no one's going to write that on a register. My register is my YouTube, and that's not going to change. Because I'm not going to say, this is fucking CPD. Someone tell me this is not at least half an hour CPD.
I don't know.
I literally discussed it, isn't it? Electrical trade.
We're
discussing the qualifications. Yeah, but that's why I said half an hour.
I talk about your mum a lot.
If you
the
take out
the audio only segment at the start is 100% CPD.
Don't give away the audio only segment at the start of this one. Jesus Christ. There's a lot of problems. And then, but we have to just allude to then about a 10 minute segment, yeah? There's a lot of problems that we've just discussed. Everyone knows are the problems, yeah? So what do all the big people who look after us do? All the big organizations go, come on and go, you know what we're going to do? Make you pay for more training, dickheads. So we're all going to go, yeah, we'll do it because we're all twats. No, that's the solution. We fucked up. How should I make it better? Make the fucking peasants pay for more training. Excellent idea. Doubles all round. Let's all go to the pub now while the dickheads go and do more training. We must be a right bunch of fucking mugs as a fucking trade to let them get away with this bollocks. I've got to go and train at napping next week, so this could be quite difficult for me, but never mind.
They'll let you in.
This is considered CPD, viable CPD method. Oh, and
this podcast
Carl Ryan said, Sam, you could include the little card off the plug, because I talked about that last week.
What, CPD? Wiring a plug card?
No, you know the little card that comes on the plug?
Yeah.
Did you read it? Did you record 5 seconds of CPD?
Oh, I might as well, because I found that very enlightening.
If anyone out there wants to challenge that this podcast is not CPD, so if you're an electrician, you watch this podcast every week, that we normally every week, yeah, it's at least half an hour. This is actual CPD for the trade. At least half an hour's podcast is CPD. If anyone challenges you, yeah, give them my phone number, tell them to give me a ring. I'll tell them how fucking wrong they are. There's more CPD in this than an eFix advert on a fucking Waggo box, isn't there? But I agree, it is CPD watching that advert for a Waggo box, but what proportion of that is actual CPD? It's the proportion, isn't it? And I would argue with anyone.
This is another thing. Like, I shouldn't.
This is going to be whatever he's going to say now. No, it's going to be wild. Whatever he says now, it's going to be wild. I can see it.
This is pretty dumb on my part, right? So I didn't know, yeah, that Wagos come in different amp sizes.
Not
so
many,
they're not all 32 amp.
No, there's some bigger chunk, but they're physically bigger, aren't they?
No.
24 amp, I think, is the base range.
20 amp. See, you didn't know.
What, the physical? I thought the physical size detonated the amp rating.
You can get.
Well, I've just got to go check some of my jobs. Goodbye.
Same here. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know. Like, you could get 20 amp ones and you could get fucking 32 amp ones. And then the bigger ones are the 40 amp ones. But who fucking knew that?
You know, you can find out that dickhead that's selling his Waggo box on eBay. You could probably get the instructions off them and have a look. There's some dickheads on eBay.
Did you know that, though, Mark?
I knew they were like 24. I think the 24 amps, the smaller ones, and the bigger ones are 40.
When did you know that, though, bruv? Only recently?
No, years ago.
Fuck
yeah,
off.
He never can't.
He has to. He's Mark Allison. But
do you know CF together with their Waggo boxes? Someone got there early, queued up, ran down, they got one, and now they're selling it eBay 400 quid.
Are they?
Fucking yeah.
What? Is someone buying it for 500 quid?
Well, no, but I don't think it's been bought yet. But literally, someone at CF got there early, got in the queue, did all the fuckery, ran down the aisle to the Waggo stand, got the big Waggo box that they were giving away 50 first people.
What
now it's on eBay for $5. So if you got there early to the show, Waggo gave away 50 Waggo boxes. You know, so they get all the footage of people running in like it's fucking decent, like it's worth getting there early when it's not.
But what is a Waggo box?
It's a big box.
Like
as good as like a Waggo. It's a box with all Wagos in and a bag.
I
and
want those
testings.
giving it away.
A goodie bag, 50 goodie bags basically. Someone's got it on eBay for 547 quid. But mate,
There was a rugby scrum trying to get them. There was like, it must have been
I'm not
at least
surprised they're trying to
500
sell them for
people.
that. Do you reckon
Well, if you're in
anyone's
that
gonna buy
rugby
that?
scrum trying to get a fucking free Wago box, you are a div.
I got some free crisps and I didn't have to queue for anything. I just got some free crisps.
Yeah, but do you know what I
had
do?
an ice cream.
I go to an agency job and then all of a sudden I have Wagos.
I just shoplift them from the wholesalers because they leave all the shit out the front. They're not really wholesalers. I'm just joking. But
You're not really
someone does.
agency sites.
Buying Wagos and cable and tie-ups makes me a bit yucky inside. Right.
It's only worth 470 quid, Alan Chan said. So they're taking the piss, whoever's selling it for 500 and something.
It's
Yeah,
got a
but
zero
Alan
in it.
Chan was one of them running for the stand.
It's probably him who's got it on
He's
you.
Scottish anyway. You know how tight the Scots are.
To be fair to Alan Chan, I think he wasn't that cute, but only because his flight got there early.
Yeah,
All
I'll tell you
the
what
lads
else
that
as
got- all the
well.
lads that
He'd
got
be
flights
piecing them
went
out.
for it.
He'd be selling them for £1 each. Being from
He'd be
Scotland.
swapping him for. He won't get no because I can't remember if this was Alan Chan. Who was this? I think he might have been Rooney the Butswood, yeah. Who bought some? One of the lads who flew in for the first SCF bought some super rods. And I was like, "Are you getting them back on the plane?" He went, "Oh, we had to buy old luggage." so whichever one of it was, admit it, it's funny. But yeah, they got a bit excited. Bought some rods, had to buy whole luggage, which I'm guessing even if they were cheaper, put it up. But I can't remember if it was Alan or Rooney or one of them. But yeah, it's like, "Are you getting that back?" Alan Chan was chugging around with the fucking cable reel things. But he did say he's going to give it away. It was like, you can't take that to play, mate. You'll have another 11-9 on the go. But yeah, if you want to, is anyone? Oh, if someone's mentioned it's 470 quid, is it? But yeah, if you want a Wago box, go on eBay. Someone's selling them, but get there ready for that.
Fuck
Wild.
that.
And this podcast is acceptable evidence for the IET
It can't
CPD
be.
format.
It can't be.
So you are. You're now
It
CPD
can't
accredited. The Electricians podcast,
no, we
CPD
can't.
accredited.
We
They
can't
must have us
accredit because
confused.
if you want to put your CPD out as a credit, you know what you need to do?
Pay.
Pay. You need to pay like a Part P style
Oh,
scheme.
I went through this.
so you can accredit it.
Them.
Yeah, I went through this whole thing when I had my training course for agencies to get it CPD accredited. It's like £1,500 just to get it CPD
It's
accredited, and then you
almost
look into it
like-
and you're like, well, what does that mean? And then it doesn't mean anything. You just get a number on a website called like CPD Institute, which isn't anything. It's a PO box in London, and then you get and then someone could go onto the website, type in CPD Institute, type in your code to see if you're legit or not, and it comes up. I was like, I'll make my own fucking website.
It's almost like the whole CPD thing is being pushed by people who make money out of CPD.
Do you know what CPD was
It's the
created for?
Quango!
Do you know what it was for?
No,
It's
I
for
don't
the,
actually.
It's for the medical industry, for doctors and stuff like that to
Who need
brush
to
up on
remain
skills.
current? Yeah, I get that. And I don't
And then it was
disagree with people
adopted by the
remaining current.
IET.
I don't disagree that people should remain current and up to date. That's a fact. But look,
The electrical industry
basically,
don't move that far.
if anyone asks you for a CPD thing, now you just go to ChatGPT and go, "Dear ChatGPT, I'm an electrician. Here's my CV. Please write me a CPD log for last year," and it'll bang you on out. And the people that take it off you know that's what you've done, and we don't care because as someone stated already, they just tick the box.
It's
But I
box tick shit. Right, listen,
No, we're
podcast
not
is
going
over.
yet. I don't want to go yet.
It's over
go on,
because
I'll
you're
go then,
chatting
yeah.
shit as usual. Right,
Your shit.
Mark, thank you so much for putting up with us too, and Jamie's big chin. I appreciate your. Did you have a document that I needed to reference?
I've sent it to you already. It's just the EAS specification. So you can pop that in your show notes if you want. But thanks for having me on, guys. I've enjoyed chatting as always.
Nice
if anyone
one.
wants some electric, if anyone wants some